Cool. All right, let's try the Pinot Gris and Cinsault side by side, if we can, please. Just have a look at those two wines together. Obviously, these are the two wines that are already available. Have been available since, I think, November. James, when did we release these? November?
October.
October. Okay. But there's still some left, which is great. Pinot Gris is probably the wine that you guys are known for. I mean, it's certainly the one that I get approached about Craven the most. It seems to be the one that is synonymous with Craven is the Pinot Gris, being a skin contact wine. How did that come about? So it wasn't, when you first made it, it wasn't a super common variety to do this with in South Africa. And this is a two-parter. And the second part of the question is how has the style changed? Because the wine itself has changed, in my mind, quite a lot from that first vintage.
Yeah, I guess it's a style we've been kind of enamoured with for quite some time. You know, Jeanine and I, when we first met in sort of 2007, 2008, the wines that we enjoyed then would kind of make you laugh compared to what we make now. We used to love 15% Syrahs and massive beast of wines. And then just through a bit more travel and experience and exposure to different wines, we completely flipped that on the head and started drinking, enjoying different things. And this is a typical style that we both sort of, you know, really captured our imagination, I guess, really. This sort of skin contact style is, Jeanine's probably one of her favourite wines in the world is a skin contact Trousseau Gris from some California producers. But then similar producers also made this. It was a skin contact Pinot Gris, and it was like, wow, that's really fascinating.
Yeah, right.
Sort of opened our eyes to a completely different world of wine.
Yeah.
And so then when we started in 2014, let's say, we came across a Pinot Gris vineyard in Stellenbosch and next to Boschkloof, if anyone knows where that is, opposite Moldebosch. And yeah, we gave it a crack. We just thought, why not? We're still very much in our infancy, experimental phase.
And you still had full-time jobs, so it wasn't, you know...
Yeah, it wasn't financial risk.
Yeah.
You know, we had...
And you could always drink it.
We did
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, it was quite raw and weird the first year. And then even the subsequent years, it's taken a lot of time to kind of, I don't want to say get it right, because I don't think you ever completely get a wine right, but this has changed drastically over the years. We used to use a lot of whole bunch. We used to extended, skin contact, short skin contact, de-stem, barrels, this, that.
Yeah. We once even pressed some straight off, like...
Rosé, and then blended it back.
A white wine.
So now, what do you...
We digress.
You've gone from whole bunch to you're just dimming everything. What's the plan here?
So we started to move away from whole bunch. Jeanine and I had quite a strong dogma towards whole bunch with everything we touched in the early years because we do like that. But once again, you got to do what is right for the grape, and particularly the Cinsault we'll get to next. It's a very low acid grape, just like Cinsault. So for us, it's all about maintaining as much acid as you can without having to add any. So we de-stem everything, and then since 2021, started moving it into concrete.
So de-stem straight into concrete for
5-6 days.
Okay.
On
Pressing
skins.
after 5.
It goes dry.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, this thing races through ferment.
Okay.
There's no messing about with this guy.
Okay.
And we press it off to stainless. We generally let it finish malolactic in stainless, and that happens quick, a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then it goes straight back into concrete for aging.
For what, 6 months essentially?
Yeah. Okay. So it's one of those wines that has, whoever's had this wine over the last 6 years, it's evolved rapidly. I think
the style has.
Yeah. It's become, when we started, it was kind of just a experiment. It turned into a wine that we really like drinking. We thought it might have been a fad. People were just drinking it because it was different. But now we feel it's got to the point where it's actually like a legitimate wine, so to speak.
Now people get upset when we run out, as I say. Yeah.
So it's a wine, I think, out of all of them, we've put 10 times more effort into than the rest of the wines. Just from a... Is
that because Pinot Gris just is difficult?
It's difficult grape.
It's tricky to make.
It's really nice to grow.
Yeah, right, okay.
It's a beautiful grape to grow.
So the growers love it, the winemakers.
Yeah. It's a bit more forgiving than Pinot Noir. It's thicker than Pinot Noir. It's quite a thick skin, actually. So you also have to be quite careful about tannin. So that's also another reason why we moved away from whole bunch. But in the winery, it's very unforgiving. Like if you don't top your tanks or your barrels, you'll get flaw quickly, and it's not a nice flaw. And it can get very sort of that nail polish, ethyl acetate quickly. So it's a very finicky grape. So you have to pay way more attention to this. It's that annoying child that needs extra help kind of thing.
No idea who you're talking to.
Yeah. So that's why we bottle it early, just so it's fucking done and out of the way.
And colour-wise, I mean, this is probably one of the darkest work you've made, if not the darkest.
It's up there.
And it seems to be a trend that is, the Pinot Gris is getting darker every vintage. Do you think that's going to continue, or?
I think it started getting noticeably darker when because we used to bottle this in sort of October, November.
Yes.
And I think those 3 months there in barrel, that's when it's as dark, but it goes orange dark. Just the hue is different.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So that's when we started, and the wine started to get a bit tight.
20 inches. Yeah.
So that's when we started bottling it earlier and earlier. And I think that's also, people probably didn't see the colour as much between that sort of August, sort of November when we bottled it.
Yes.
So that kind of darkened the colour as such, and then the concrete I think has really captured the colour. But I mean, you tasted the 23 the other day, and it's lighter.
Yeah.
So it's kind of up and down.
It's very vintage dependent, the colour, in terms of...
I mean, and you can see on the grapes, Jeanine came back from sampling just for harvest with like literally a whole bunch or bunches of Pinot Blanc. So there's a lot of grapes that didn't go through the mutation this year, which we've never seen before.
Yeah.
It's the first time we've ever seen it.
White grapes in the vineyard.
Which is kind of interesting.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Because it just didn't go through Veraison, or...
No, it's just sometimes the genetics in the vine, it's like Semillon Gris.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes it just switches in and out, but some years it doesn't. We've just never seen it.
Yeah, that's
You
interesting.
leave those, Mick?
No, I throw them.
No, they're
in them. You would rather go
I mean,
as
it's-
much as you do.
We're
Pay
talking
for
like
it, so.
1 or 2%,
Yeah.
it's such a small amount.
Yeah.
But it's, you obviously notice it very quickly when you see them.
Yeah.
This guy, we do about 15,000 bottles. It's been more than the 200 we did in 2014. No, it's certainly, as Dave said, it's definitely, it's not just here, it's globally, it's become a wine that I think people,
It's almost
it's
a business
synonymous
card,
with
isn't it?
Craven. Yeah.
And it's like if you're going to have a Craven on a new wine, then it's like the Pinot Gris seems to be the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long may that last.
It fills a gap that that no one else really does. And that sort of, is it a rosé, light red, skin contact?
Everything.
Everything.
Whatever you want.
Everything, nothing.
What I love about it is you can drink it really cold,
Yeah.
and you can drink it sort of as a red wine temperature, and they're completely different wines.
Yes.
More rosé-like or more light red-like, and everything in between.
Yeah, even sitting in the glass here, it's opening up more
Yeah.
and more, and you're getting more of those sort of Pinot Noir-esque flavours.
Yeah.
And textures as well. Yeah.
That's a
super
fascinating little beast.
It's a nice wine to introduce people to red wine as well, from
Yep.
if they're drinking white wine, because it's still refreshing, it's still lively, but it has just that little touch of like sort of, very light tea-like tannins, just to give you a little bit of grip, but nothing too heavy, nothing too extreme that you're going to get rejected from.
Yeah, fatigue.
Yeah, fatigue, exactly. Nice. Okay.